Before we begin, please note that this episode includes sensitive content related to military sexual trauma. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself and feel free to pause or return to the episode when you're ready. Welcome back to Thriving Beyond MST, the podcast where we honor the voices of survivors, shine a light on systemic silence, and build something powerful from our pain. I'm your host, Captain Retired Dalia Galvan, a U.S. Air Force and Army veteran, critical care nurse, and proud MST thriver. I'm also a graduate student at the University of Southern California's Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. I'm pursuing my Master of Communication Management with a focus in market research and analytics. And today I want to talk to you a little bit more about research that I'm conducting for my practicum that is directly related to this topic. For those who are new here, welcome again. I want to share a bit about why this podcast and this research means so much to me. When I was a young airman training to be a medical technician at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas, I was raped. I was raped by someone I knew. I was raped by someone who had gained my trust. I was raped by someone who I considered a friend and who had never displayed any red flags that would indicate I was in any danger. At the time, I had been in the military less than 6 months. Unfortunately, following that violent and traumatic incident, everything changed for me. And what followed was nearly 2 decades of silence, confusion, retaliation, shame, guilt, and emotional exhaustion. I believed I was alone. But what devastated me even more was learning years later and throughout my career that countless other service members were enduring the exact same barriers, denials, and injustices I had faced. That lit a fire in me I couldn't ignore, and I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to contribute in some way, that there was something that I could do to help others. So I chose to pursue this program at USC Annenberg to learn how to fight smarter, with the tools, research, and strategy to help shift the narrative, support survivors, and build a healing community for those who are still suffering in silence. Now, I may not have all the answers yet, and probably never will, but this research project is a critical and necessary step. It will give me invaluable insight to make Thriving Beyond MST a better resource for those who need it most. I want this podcast to be a place where healing is not only possible, but where it's empowered, celebrated, and amplified. Where survivors can feel seen, despite everything the rape temporarily took from me, such as my sense of security, my trust in others, my peace. I still found ways to live with purpose, to create meaningful relationships, to find joy and fulfillment in my work, and most importantly, to turn my pain into purpose centered around helping others. Because I refused to let somebody else's poor judgment and terrible decisions keep me from accomplishing the things that I wanted in the military, academically, and professionally. That's why today's episode is so epic. It's not just personal, it's also academic and deeply human. And it's a call to action because you can help shape the future of MST advocacy and survivor support. Now let's dive into what this research is all about and how your voice can help build something positive and instrumental in the healing process of others, survivor-led spaces are powerful. I think that most of us know this, but too often they're under-resourced, under-researched, and overlooked. This is certainly the case with MST, and that's exactly what this project is designed to explore. I'm currently conducting an anonymous and confidential online survey that takes just 7 to 10 minutes of your time to complete. It's titled Building Safer Platforms: How MST Survivors and Supporters Engage with Healing Podcasts. It explores how MST survivors and their support networks engage with trauma-informed or healing podcasts and digital advocacy platforms. Why do certain spaces help us feel seen, while others leave us feeling invisible or re-traumatized? What types of storytelling encourages people to come back and share? And how can we ensure that platforms like Thriving Beyond MST aren't just supportive, but also sustainable for the long term? We're not just asking these questions. We're building a blueprint for real change that is grounded in lived experience and driven by relevant research. Here's the thing. I still need about 75 more survey participants to reach the level of insight needed to shape the next phase of this work, of this very important work. This survey isn't just for survivors. If you ever supported someone through trauma, listened to a healing-focused podcast, or believe in the power of digital spaces to create change, this survey is definitely for you. It is also completely confidential and anonymous. It's trauma-informed, and it's available right now for a limited time only. The link can be found in the description of this episode and also in the Thriving Beyond MST Instagram and Facebook pages. Additionally, I'm conducting one-on-one interviews with survivors and supporters who want to go deeper. These conversations are safe, private, and incredibly meaningful. If you're open to sharing more of your story in a space that honors it, I would love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at thrivingbeyondmst@gmail.com. This research matters because silence is such a heavy thing to carry, but so is being unsupported, dismissed, or minimized. I've personally been there more than once. For too long, MST survivors have had to carry their experiences while at the same time navigating systems that often cause more harm than healing. We need new models of connection, care, and communication because at the moment, there are very few out there, which leads to a huge gap in services for this population. What I have found since starting Thriving Beyond MST is that podcasting is uniquely intimate. It allows us to share truth in our own voice on our own time. And when done responsibly, it can help people around the world feel seen without being put on display. So that's one of the great advantages of podcasting. To give you some statistical insight, to date, this podcast has been heard in 13 countries and 67 cities across North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. That is incredible to me. Honestly, I never imagined it would have such a significant level of reach. But I am incredibly proud and honored. The download numbers continue to grow. Now, I'm not in the thousands by any means, but I believe every download is potentially providing some sort of information, education, awareness, or healing needed by the person who's listening. So I appreciate all of you who are listening to this episode and who have listened to previous episodes. It means a lot, really. This project isn't just about building a better podcast. It's about using what we learn to set higher standards for how digital spaces show up for survivors and to positively influence non-digital spaces from what we learn. I'm going to share something real with you. I remember the first time I saw a young woman on a documentary giving an unfiltered account of her rape. That was very impactful for me because I've never heard anyone give that level of detail and describe it so clearly. It spoke directly to what I had buried. That spoke directly buried for years. It was September of 2023. I was folding laundry, cleaning the house, halfway watching, and suddenly I heard her painfully describing the raw details of her sexual assault and the immense impact it had on every aspect of her life. She was in tears during the entire time that she was sharing this story. And as I saw her reaction as she was telling her story, it took me back to a place that I am very familiar with. This young woman's story sounded so much like mine that it was scary. I froze in my tracks, and I believe I cried a little bit. And then I felt this overwhelming sense of amazement for her courage. She was very young, maybe 20 or 19 years old. And having the valor to tell her story in this manner was shocking. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel unhinged. I actually felt seen. I felt that somebody else knew what it was like. Somebody else was struggling with the consequences of a rape. That's what this podcast aims to create. That moment of recognition, that soft place to land, that reminder that you're not alone. And through this research, we're learning what makes those moments possible. That's why this is so important, and that's why I'm asking you for your help in filling out surveys to help me collect more information. Once again, you can find the survey link in the episode description and on the Thriving Beyond MST Instagram and Facebook pages. If you think that you might be open to a one-on-one interview, I would be honored to hold that space for you, and you can reach out to me at thrivingbeyondmst@gmail.com. Every voice and survey completed adds significant value. Every experience helps shape the future for many out there who feel alone, who feel unseen, who feel unheard. I want to sincerely thank you for showing up, for listening, for trusting me with your time and your heart. For other survivors out there, I want you to know you are not broken. You are not a burden, and your voice is power. As I said before, although I may not have all the answers yet, together we are creating something that matters and brings us closer to finding viable solutions. Please feel free to listen to previous episodes, and I want to invite you to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, my name is Dalia. Keep thriving beyond MST. Thank you.